I don't want this albino child. Go and dump her inside the toilet. This child is cursed.
I'm open.
Watch out for the laundry.
Good one.
They're having so much fun.
In a quiet town somewhere in Kenya, where gossip traveled faster than motorbikes and everyone knew everyone's business before lunchtime, lived a couple whose love story once made people smile. The woman was called Sarah, only 23 years old, full of laughter and hope. Her husband was Frank James, 37 years old, a businessman who liked good clothes, loud laughter, and being called boss by his friends at the bar.
I love you so much, my dear.
I love you too, my love.
You make me so happy.
They married young, against small advice from relatives who said Sarah was too young and Frank too stubborn. But love, as usual, refused to listen. Their wedding was modest, but joyful. People danced until dust entered their ears, and Sarah believed life had finally smiled at her. Years passed. 1 year became 2, 2 became 5, 5 became 7. No child came. Every morning Sarah prayed.
Please, I pray for a child. Bless me with this gift.
Every night she prayed again. She changed churches, changed prayer partners, changed fasting days, even changed the direction she knelt facing. Frank pretended he didn't care, but inside him, something was breaking. In the bars, his friends laughed loudly.
No child yet? That's weak, man. You're supposed to have a whole herd by now. Very funny.
Drinking and saying careless things like, "Boss, maybe your seed is tired," then bursting into laughter as if it was a joke. Still, Sarah never gave up. Then one day, after many hospital visits, tears, and silent nights, the miracle came.
God, thank you, you have done it for me.
Sarah was pregnant. The house changed overnight. Frank became a different man. He bought Sarah gifts. He bought her a new phone. He bought her clothes. He even gave her the car keys and said, "From today, you don't walk. You float." Neighbors whispered, amazed. The man who once forgot anniversaries was now counting weeks and days. When the due date came, Frank personally drove Sarah to the hospital. He paced up and down the corridor like a confused security guard, praying loudly and promising God many things he had no intention of fulfilling. After hours,
Lord, please help my wife to deliver safely. I promise to work for you, Lord, for the rest of my life.
After hours of pain and prayer, Sarah had delivered a baby girl. Her name was Angela. But the joy lasted only a few seconds. The nurse hesitated before handing the baby to Frank. Her skin was unusually light. Her hair was pale. Her eyes were sensitive to light. The truth was clear. Angela was an albino. Frank's smile disappeared like electricity during rain. He stared at the baby as if she had personally offended him. He said nothing. He didn't even touch her. Without asking questions, without waiting for Sarah, he walked out of the hospital, got into the car, and drove home. Sarah stayed behind, confused, weak, and holding her baby with shaking hands. That evening, Frank's friends came to congratulate him. They looked at the baby and shook their heads like village elders solving a land dispute. "This child is not yours," one said confidently, chewing meat. "Albinos bring bad luck," another added, very sure of himself. "In this country, you will suffer," a third one concluded, as if reading weather news. Frank listened. Alcohol listened too. From that day, Sarah's life turned bitter. Frank stopped coming home early. Sometimes he didn't come home at all. When he did, he smelled like beer and cheap perfume. He insulted Sarah. He ignored the baby. Angela cried a lot, maybe feeling the hate in the house. One night, Frank came home drunk, with a new girl laughing loudly on his arm. He pointed at Sarah and said, "Pack your things. You and that child must leave this house now." It was raining. Sarah wrapped baby Angela in a thin cloth and stepped into the night. Rain beat her face. Tears mixed with water. She walked with no direction, only pain guiding her feet. She went to her friend Ligi. Ligi opened the door, saw the baby, and stepped back. "No, Sarah," she said nervously. "I can't take you in. That child, people say such children bring bad luck." The door closed. With nowhere to go, Sarah went to the police station. A kind officer named Ken saw her condition and gave her a place to lie down. He offered to arrest Frank. Sarah shook her head and whispered, "Let God judge him." Morning came. Sarah had decided to go back to her rural home. When she arrived, her stepmother took one look at Angela and shouted as if she had seen a snake. "Take that curse away from my house," she said. Sarah left again. Tired, hungry, and hopeless, she found shelter in an unfinished building. Cold nights passed. One Sunday morning, a woman called Mama Gift, returning from church, heard a baby crying. She followed the sound and found Sarah and little Angela shivering. Mama Gift was poor, but her heart was rich. She took them home. Life was still hard, but it had love. Mama Gift shared what little she had. Unfortunately, Sarah's health worsened. Pneumonia took her life quietly, like a thief at night. Mama Gift cried and asked God many questions. Then she made a decision. She would raise Angela as her own. She also had another child, Gift. The two girls grew up together like twins. They laughed, fought, sang, danced, and shared dreams. Angela sang like an angel. Gift danced like fire. People laughed at Angela because of her skin, but Gift fought back, sometimes with words, sometimes with fists. One day, a national competition was announced. Singing and dancing at State House. Gift pushed Angela onto the stage. Angela sang. The president stood and clapped. Scholarships followed. Years passed. Angela became a doctor. Gift trained as a pilot. Meanwhile, Frank's life had collapsed. The new woman left. No children came. One day, flipping through a magazine, he saw a famous albino doctor. It was Angela. Regret hit him like a lorry. He tried to reconnect. Angela learned the truth. It broke her, but strengthened her love for Mama Gift. Years later, back in Kenya, Angela was on duty when an accident victim was rushed in. She looked at the face. It was Frank. Her heart froze. Questions flooded her mind. This was the man who chased her mother into the rain. This was the man who called her a curse. This was the man whose actions led to her mother's death. Angela stood there, torn between pain and purpose. And the room waited. Because sometimes, the hardest battles are not in the world, but in the heart. Angela stood outside the emergency room, her white coat suddenly feeling heavier than ever before. Doctors rushed past her, nurses shouted instructions, machines beeped impatiently. But inside Angela's head, everything was silent. The man on that stretcher was Frank James. The same man who once pointed at her mother and said, "Leave this house now." The same man who walked away from the hospital when she was born. The same man who believed beer-drinking friends more than his own blood. Her hands trembled. For a moment, Angela did something she had never done in her entire medical career. She walked away from a patient. She locked herself in her office and sat down slowly, staring at the wall as if answers were written there. Her mind went back to stories Mama Gift had told her, stories whispered at night when the lantern was almost out. How Sarah walked in the rain. How Sarah cried quietly so the baby wouldn't wake. How Sarah coughed through cold nights until her breath finally gave up. Angela pressed her palm against her chest. "God," she whispered, "why this man?" Outside, the senior consultant was already asking, "Where's Dr. Angela? We need her now." Angela wiped her face, stood up, and looked at her reflection in the mirror. An albino woman. A doctor. A survivor. A child everyone once rejected. She took a deep breath and walked back to the emergency room. Frank was unconscious. Tubes everywhere. Blood stained his shirt. The same mouth that once spoke cruelty now lay silent. Angela examined him professionally, her voice calm, her hands steady. No one in the room knew the storm inside her. She led the surgery. Hours passed. When it was over, Frank was stable. Angela removed her gloves and walked out without saying a word. Days later, Frank woke up. The first face he saw was Angela's. He stared at her for a long time, confused, then scared, then ashamed. His voice was weak. Are you Angela?" Angela nodded. Tears rolled down Frank's face. For the first time in his life, not because of alcohol, not because of loss, but because of truth. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I was ignorant. I was foolish. I listened to drunk men instead of my wife." Angela listened quietly. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," Frank continued. "But seeing you here was seeing what you became. God punished me already." Angela stood up. "You are right," she said softly. "You don't deserve forgiveness. But you will receive treatment. Because I am not you." Frank cried harder. Words spread fast. In Kenya, news moves faster than Wi-Fi. Soon, people whispered, then talked loudly. "Have you heard? The albino doctor saved her own father. Isn't that the man who chased her mother away?" Life can slap someone. Mama Gift came to the hospital one afternoon, walking slowly but proudly. Angela hugged her tightly, longer than usual. "You did well," Mama Gift said. "You chose humanity." Gift flew in the same week, still wearing her pilot confidence like perfume. "That man is lucky," Gift said. "If it was me, I would have charged him emotional damages." Angela laughed for the first time in days. Frank recovered slowly. He asked to see Mama Gift. When she arrived, he knelt beside the hospital bed and cried like a child. "I killed Sarah," he said. "Not with a knife, but with ignorance." Mama Gift placed her hand on his head. "Learn," she said. "That is enough." Months later, Angela opened a foundation for children with albinism. Schools invited her to speak. Parents cried listening to her story. Laws changed slowly. Minds changed faster. Frank never remarried again. He became a quiet man, supporting the foundation from a distance, never demanding a place, only grateful to be alive. And Mama Gift? She sat in her small house, smiling at the radio whenever Angela's name was mentioned, whispering, "God, you kept your promise." Because sometimes, rejection is not the end. Sometimes, it is the beginning of a greater story. And in Kenya, where pain and laughter often live in the same house, Angela's story became proof that light can come from the places people fear most. Moral lessons from this story. Ignorance can destroy families faster than poverty. Cruel words can kill just as deeply as weapons. Kindness from a stranger can change a destiny. Forgiveness is not for the guilty, but for the healing of the innocent. And being different is not a curse, it is a purpose. Now let me ask you, if you were Angela, would you have forgiven Frank James after everything he did? Would you have saved the life of the person who broke your family? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's talk. If this story touched your heart, like this video so it can reach more people who need hope. Subscribe for more powerful, inspiring African stories that teach, heal, and change lives. Until next time, remember, your pain may be the beginning of someone else's miracle.